Angelo, Acerbi, Fred from Radio from the Venice Festival here with Willem, Dafoe, and Benjamin Bratt. Good morning.
Good morning.
For the film Dead for $1 by Walter Hill, which is a jump back into the glorious days of Western, luckily for who loves Western like myself. And you are confronting yourself. Your two characters confront themselves a lot throughout the film. And Benjamin, you are the bad guy, let's say, like the real bad guy. The only probably completely 360 degrees bad.
You think he's bad from every angle?
Well, this is how he shows. Every time he comes, everybody is really frightened by him, and they're terrified more than frightened. And and it looks like it was a real fun to play that, right?
It was. I mean, it was amazing to play. You know, I want to start by telling you that Willem and I worked together almost 30 years ago on a film called Clear and Present Danger that was directed by Philip Noyce. And so when I heard that he was cast and I got chosen to play opposite him, I thought, this is going to be super fun. So we show up like we do at any town where the circus comes to town, and we learn how to ride horses and shoot guns and snarl and bite at one another, and yeah, it was wonderful. No, I think Tiberio Vargas is, I guess he could be defined as a villain, but I just think, it depends on your perspective. The story unfolds in Mexico. He's in his homeland. He's on his property. These Americans and Europeans are descending on his property without permission. So he's, from my point of view, he's perfectly within his right to be a little bit ticked off about it and to ask you to pay up a little bit. But yeah, I think it's clear to audiences he's not going to meet a happy end.
Yeah, and Willem, your character is fun. I think it's one of the funniest because he has wit. He talks a lot, and he has always like the good line to say. And when you confront with somebody else, you always want to have the last word.
A little bit, yes.
A little bit, yes. And how did you build up this character? Was it written like this, or you help?
It's written. Pretty much everything I said, this is very written. Remember, Walter started out as a writer. He's very much a writer. He's very much a storyteller. He knows Westerns. He knows the character. He knows the moral universe. He knows this. It was a beautiful script. We shot this in a very essential, quick way. When people ask me sometimes, did you do any research? I got to say, except for to sharpen up my horse riding skills, which aren't always there, I did very little, because when I read it, this character was in my imagination. It's a beautiful character. He does a lot of bad things, but he's not a bad guy.
No, exactly.
In the sense that he has a code, and he sticks to it, even to the end. So there's and he even has a consciousness of that. So there's something kind of wise about him, because that's where that humor comes from. Yeah. Because he never gets caught up. He's a little objective. He knows who he is. He knows what he wants, and he can't always have it. But he's very almost fatalistic about how things are going to play out, and that's sort of a beautiful character. Whether it's a real person, I don't know, but these things are fun to play with in your head.
And actually, as Benjamin said, all characters have their own rules and moral rules, the good ones or bad ones, or whatever we see them. And I want to ask you, were you Western fans when you were younger? Western movies? Did you watch many?
100%. I mean, from Shane to Little Big Man to all of the Sergio Leone films, of course. One of my favorite Westerns is The Outlaw Josie Wales, which is a Clint Eastwood film, both as an actor and a director. But I love that Walter, historically, in all of his films, even in contemporary films, they have a kind of Western motif in them. Yeah. To touch on what Willem said, the story, the world of the Western, the characters within that particular milieu, is very clearly drawn. It's a moral fable, more or less. And what I love about this story is that each character is unapologetically who they are.
Yeah.
You don't need to explain it. And there's a kind of respect that one must give to them in their decisions, whether they're right or wrong, because they're simply being who they are. you know, the fate is pre-drawn, predetermined, as we know with most westerns. But it's kind of fun to watch it all unravel.
Yeah, and does this your love to Western help you to play the film? To play
Yeah,
the
and
character
you
in
know,
the
to
film?
be really honest with you, like, I don't know about you, Willem. I'd love to get the answer. There's the kid in me loves every new job that I get. I know I'm going to be working with amazing people, talented people, and there's an excitement when you show up on set. Like, oh, you know, it was for me. Like, I've always admired this guy. I looked up to him when I first worked with him. He's one of the most amazing actors alive. And I knew that just showing up, if we had the time to hang out, we were going to have a good time. At the end of the day, it's professional play.
Yeah.
So, what was the question specifically?
If your love for Western films helped you,
Yeah, so there was a kind of juicy thing to being showing up and playing someone who's considered the villain. You know, I looked to some of the Leone films. I looked to some of the classic villains to kind of, you know, get a little bit inspiration.
well, thank you very much. Thanks a lot to Benjamin Bratt and Willem Dafoe for the film Dead for a Dollar from Waltz here at the Venice Festival. I'm Angelo Acerbi for Fred, the Festival Insider. Angelo Acerbi, Fred Film Radio from the Venice Festival for the film Dead for a Dollar with Christoph Waltz and Rachel Brosnahan. Good morning.
Good morning.
A Western, and Mr. Waltz, you are like the lead, let's say, or at least the character that travels through the film with us, through the story of the film. You play a bounty hunter, which is not exactly like a regular bounty hunter, like the iconography of Western, even if this film is a very Western, classical Western. How did you build up this character? Did you was it written like this? Did you have to change a lot, or did you to put much of you inside of it? And that's it. The question.
Well, there's plenty. let me counter a misconception.
Mm-hmm.
It's not our job, nor is it my place to change anything in someone else's film script.
Mm-hmm.
I do what I read, and I don't go about having temper tantrums if I don't agree with the description. I do what's in the script. So all of this, hey, you walk in, you change, and you do this and you do that because you feel like it? No.
Your character is. I mean, I asked you that because there is a line in the film where you were asked if you were like from Germany or from, because you didn't sound and look like a typical bounty hunter, American bounty hunter.
That's a good one. What does a typical American bounty hunter sound
I
like?
don't know.
Now you,
Well, you know, we should ask Sergeant Poe. Maybe knew that because he was the one asking you. Because the reason of these questions is because I felt something original and new and really interesting in your character, which was not even if the film is a classical Western, which is the same thing that I felt about your character, Rachel, because your female character is much modern than a regular female lead in a classical Western. Don't you think so? Did you feel it that way?
I don't know that it felt more modern. I think there's always been modern women of their times present in a lot of, not always, but present in a lot of these Westerns. They're just not often given the real estate to really get to know them and what makes them singular. And that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about this film, was that this kind of character who is a teacher, who's on her own journey and has the capability to play chess with the rest of these characters, has the space to get to know her too, which feels fresh.
Yeah, and she has her morals and her ideas on where she want to go. So this is the strength of your character that shows up, at least to me,
Yeah, I mean, I think most women do.
Yeah.
Know
Yeah, but you know, in
exactly what they
1897,
want
in
and where-
1897 was not exactly what we were used to see.
Yeah, I'm sure that they felt the same way, but it, you know, I had a lot of conversations with Walter, as you do, and sort of as Christoph said, we're here to deliver what's on the page to the best of our ability, and it so happened that she was beautifully portrayed on the page, and so hopefully I've done her justice.
Well, I think you did, actually. I think you
Thank you.
both did. Well, thank you very much. Thanks a lot to
Thank
Christoph
you.
Waltz and
Thank
Rachel Brosnahan for the film Dead for $1, Venice Film Festival. I'm Angelo Acerbi for Fred, the Festival Insider. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Angelo Acerbi, Fred Film Festival from the Venice Film Festival, Fred Film Radio, sorry, for the Venice Film Festival. I'm here with Walter Hill for the film Dead for $1. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Mr. Hill, you are going back to Western. What brought you back to Western?
I started with Westerns.
I know.
When I was a little boy, my brother and I used to see Westerns every weekend at a local theater. So I think I was, the experiments they do with like a duck, and they'll put a clock by it, and it thinks the clock was its mother.
Yeah.
Imprinting. I think
Imprinting, yeah.
This, that the scientists call this. I was imprinted with the Western, and when I first started to work, I always say I've never had an honest job. I got into the circus right after I got out of school, circus being show business, and I worked on Westerns right away, Gunsmoke, Wild Wild West, shows like that. And I had other shows too, but I've always liked Westerns. I've always liked film noir. I never liked kid movies. I like musicals, but
You put a lot of music in your films back in the day.
I try. I'm musically ignorant. My father was very musical, and whatever feeling I have about music, I'm sure I inherited from him. But he was knowledgeable. I am not.
And this Western is a very classical one because, the plot is very simple, and all the features of the philosophy, if I may say so, Western film are there. Honor, revenge, and all this stuff. How did you work with the actors? I'm curious because everyone were praising you in the previous interviews. So I wanted to know
That was dangerous, I thought.
Why?
I was obviously too liberal with them. If they all liked me so much, but how do I work with them? Well, you've written something. It's a little different when you haven't written it. But if you've written something, now you're directing. You want to see, what you know. Mm-hmm. So you want to see what they bring, and you also know, if you've been around a while and survived, that what they bring through their individual talent and personality is going to be the way the audience perceives the movie. So you want to encourage them with the best, create the best atmosphere around them for them to do their best work. And beyond that, you take it scene by scene.
And you wrote characters that are very complex. I mean, they're not very, everyone is not good 100% or not bad 100%. Maybe the Benjamin Bratt character, maybe Tiberia is a little bit worse, more villain than others. Why did you choose to show us these characters that have flaws and vulnerabilities in a genre that normally is very, sharp?
Well, I was taught that the first responsibility of an artist is to be observant and hold up a mirror to life. And I think almost all of us have mixed emotions, mixed ambitions, mixed. So I just tried to, yes, the Western historically has often had very black and white characterization, but it's a different time. And I'm in a different place in my life, although I think that my Westerns have always had kind of mixed characters.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks a lot to Walter
Well,
Hill
thank you.
for having been with us for the film Dead for $1 from the Venice Festival. I'm Angelo Acerbi for Fred, the Festival Insider.